I grew up in the bustling city of Kuala Lumpur. My childhood is filled with memories of magical aromas and intense Malaysian flavours that flowed out of my mother's kitchen. While I now call Australia home, my taste buds are still quintessentially Malaysian. Malaysia is the cultural melting pot of Southeast Asia. It's a place where Chinese, Malay and Indian cultures collide to create this unique fusion that is Malaysian cooking. Simple, fast and generally inexpensive. With a little bit of know-how, it's easy to create authentic Malaysian recipes at home. Now, when we talk about Malaysian food, we're very familiar with laksa, nasi lemak. They all come from the western side of the peninsula. But in Kelantan, which is the eastern side of the peninsula, there's a lot of exotic food as well that we rarely hear of, but has actually permeated through Malaysia. And one of those dishes is Kelantanese Nasi Ulam, and it's fantastic. It's a traditional dish that incorporates rice, fresh herbs, and lots of seafood. So we're going to do a little bit of that today. We'll start with lemongrass. So lemongrass is a herb, very, very fragrant, that we use a lot. It's a bit of an influence from Thailand, and that's a wonderful thing about Malaysia. It's a melting pot of different cultures and different influences from different food. It's really hard to define exactly what Malaysian food is, but it's very, very tasty, I can assure you of that. We are going to roughly chop the lemongrass, and we use only the white part when we're making paste, and you can actually incorporate this into your stir fries too. We've got some dried shrimp, some ikan bilis or anchovies or whitebait, so they're dried and you can get them in Asian stores. Now these are cute, they look like little pearls I guess, but they're dried scallops. And we are going to pound that into a rough paste with the mortar and pestle. I love mortar and pestle. I think there's something quite archaic and romantic, I dare say, about using mortar and pestle rather than a food processor. If you don't have it, that's absolutely fine. Just blitz it until you get a rough paste. Anything, this gives you a good workout. Now that's done, and what you have is sort of dry paste. Now we're going to set that aside because we're going to mix everything through to the rice. Cooked rice is fine. Now I usually use long grain rice or basmati rice. I think they're more forgiving rice to sort of cook. Make sure it's cooled. In Kelantan, they color the rice blue with this particular flour called pea flour. I've never sort of found it anywhere here, but if you do get a chance, just soak the pea flour in water and you get this blue liquid, and it's all natural. Now we've got some herbs here we're going to toss through the rice as well. Vietnamese mint, which is a more citrusy sort of mint. We've got some Thai basil as well. So we pluck like a handful of these leaves and we are going to finely shred them. So you just bunch them together. And what you do is just give them a good slice through. It's lovely. What we have as well, we've got some ginger. Now ginger we're going to grate straight in the rice. So ginger gives it a little bit of heat and quite good for the digestive system. So a lot of Malaysians, they incorporate gingers in their tea and a lot of their refreshing drink. So that goes straight in. And we really want just a small amount. We've got an Asian shallot that we're going to slice thinly. There's Asian shallots and there's French shallot. To be quite honest, I don't see a difference. I do generally find that the Asian shallots are slightly smaller, and we just want them to be thinly sliced. If they're too thick, of course, you'll get too sort of much of a hit of the shallot, and you want it to just be quite subtle. We've got some kaffir lime leaves, so this is great. And what we do is we roll them into little, sort of like you're rolling a cigar, I guess. And you want to cut them into fine shreds. And this will give your salad a lovely fragrance. Now we use this for the traditional rendang that Malaysians cook. We stir it through at the end of the curry just because it does give it a bit of respite from the heat. Now, this is dried fungus. You get them in Asian stores. Just soak them a little bit in water for about 20 minutes until they puff up. And what you get is this lovely texture. So when you're cooking or making a salad, stir fries, just think about that. So have some crunchy sort of elements, have some soft elements, have lovely colors. I'm trying to keep it as traditional as possible by adding lovely Malaysian ingredients that you'll find. But if you want to add your own twist, go for your life. I don't judge much. Now we've got some bean curd skins. They're great. I use them a lot for salads, but you can actually wrap things through them. So this is how we make our version of Malaysian sausage rolls. So this dish called loba, and we use that quite a lot. And I like this fairly chunky. Now we've got some dried toasted coconut here, desiccated coconut. Now when you're toasting, just make sure you watch it because there's a fine line between nice and toasty and charred and burnt, I think. We've got some palm sugar. So this is palm sugar that you get straight from your grocery store. It's light brown palm sugar. There's a lot of different versions. There's dark brown, kind of like your brown sugar. So it varies from how mild it is in sweetness. And the darker shade of palm sugar you get, the more caramelly the taste. If you're not into palm sugar, which is also fine, you can use caster sugar if you like. Really, you just need a little bit, probably about half to 1 teaspoon. It's more flavor balancer. I find a lot of sugars that we use in Malaysian cooking is just to balance out the flavors, and you need a little bit of that because there's some intense sort of flavors there. Now remember the paste we did? So we are going to mix that through. Now if you can smell this, it's got that lovely funky shrimp smell and scallops, but then it's quite aromatic as well with the lemongrass that you pounded. So that goes through there. Now this is looking gorgeous and ready to be served. Now we've got this banana leaf. I love banana leaf. They're very aromatic as well. So don't be afraid to be quite generous in piling the rice. I think this is really nice and fresh. So we've got that there. We've got some bean sprouts here. Add that through. A key ingredient that we use as a garnish is salted duck egg. We want to have that and serve that like so. There's an art to this, and we usually eat with our hands, and Mum used to teach me this when I was a kid. So you take a little bit of rice and you just do this. There's something to be said about eating with your hands. You're in touch with your food and it's fresh. So with the egg, we usually just pinch it and we grab it and we have, I love it. You might not be perched on the side of the road, but this is as authentic as you can get. Give it a go. This is Chinese broccoli, also known as kailan. Unlike the regular broccoli, it's a lot leafier, and you can use them from the stalk to the leaves. Fantastic in stir fries, in curries, in soups, really, really nice. Now, Malaysian food, like, you cannot go past street food, and who better to show us street food than Jackie M?
Hello, how are you?
Very well, how are you?
Good, good. Now, this is one of my favorite memories from growing up in Malaysia, a dish called wonton mee in Malaysia, or wonton mee if you're Cantonese. We're going to do this in 2 stages. We're going to make the wontons first.
Right, what do you want me to do?
I've got some water chestnuts here. I just need these minced up if you could. And in the meantime, I'm just going to grab a mixing bowl.
So water chestnuts, you get them...
Cans usually easy, just drain out the water and just chop them up. Now, I've got some equal amounts of chicken mince and prawn mince. Great if you can get fresh prawns. They've got so much more flavour.
This is quite textural because you've got water chestnuts there, which gives it a lovely crunch.
That's right, that's right. And we're going to throw in some sliced up spring onion in there as well, and that just gives it that nice little flavour to it. I'm just going to throw some pepper in. And I'll get you to do the rest of those if you don't mind.
Yep.
And I've got some sesame oil, so a drizzle of that. And now, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to throw in some fried shallots. I think it just adds this nice little crunchiness to the whole thing.
That's a great idea.
I know.
We usually sort of think of fried shallots as garnish.
Yeah, that's
never
right.
as a filling, so what a lovely idea.
That's my invention, by the way. I should patent that.
You should.
I used to have a Malaysian restaurant, and I would spend half the week, I promise you, just peeling onions and pureeing onion and frying them up.
That's
just
what
to
my
use as
mum used to do.
I know, right?
She doesn't have a restaurant.
If there's a ready-made product, That will save me so much work. So I did that, and I have not looked back since.
I think the key is to get like quality products, and they're so available.
Yeah.
And for those of you who haven't been to any Asian grocery stores, you really should give it a try. I mean, it's like a treasure trove there. You just have to be patient and find them.
And in fact, a lot of supermarkets now carry, the more common products as well, like ketchup manis, which is a sweet soy, of course, soy sauce and that sort of stuff. But there you go. Now I'm going to get you to help me make some wontons with this. I'm just going to clean my hands.
For me, when I was a kid, I'd help my mum out. And you can tell I'm such a greedy boy. I would overfill it, and it's not to overfill it because then it splits.
Exactly. I actually, like to kind of just make it really simple, and you just fold it in a triangle and just pinch it at the edges, just like that.
And if you find that you do sort of get them trouble sort of sticking together, have a little bowl of water handy and just rub the edge of the wonton that you're pinching, and I find that seals better as well, but they seem to have no problems at all.
Yeah.
So this is quite famous. You find them in a lot of the market stalls, and I know it's street food and you can have it any time of the day, but I'd have this for breakfast. It's really funny, as a kid, I'd tell my mum, like I'd give her like my breakfast order for the morning because she goes to the market every day. And she comes back with like wonton mee or nasi lemak or stuff like that you eat for breakfast. I love it. Yeah.
I've got a pot of water boiling here. We're just going to toss this in.
Sure.
Okay. And just use a wooden spoon just to make sure they don't sink to the bottom because they will stick to the bottom of the pot otherwise.
And how long do you cook them for?
Oh, not long, only a couple of minutes. And you should know they're done when they start to float up and stay floating up.
I love, is this your agar-agar ways again?
You betcha.
So agar-agar is a guesstimate way that Malaysians like to use.
That's the name of my next cookbook.
Fantastic. And I think it's a great idea because you do it, it's all by guesstimate, and that's how we sort of learn how to cook and, like touch and feel, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's wait for that, and then when that's done, we'll just drain it off and we'll make the second part of the dish, yeah? Looks good, Jackie.
Yep, they are ready to come out. I'm just gonna stick them in this bowl here.
Yep.
And we're gonna toss a little bit of oil in them, and just to make sure they don't end up sticking together.
And sesame oil is quite aromatic, so that sort of adds to the flavour too.
That's
I love
right.
it.
And we're gonna leave the water because we're going to do the next stage.
Wonderful stuff, Jackie. It smells
fabulous.
really good. Now, what do you want me to do?
Now, I'm just going to throw in the noodles, okay? These are what we call wonton noodles, and you can buy them in the refrigerated section of Asian grocery stores. With this type of egg noodle, you're going to find there's two varieties, one that's actually already cooked, and these ones are not, and you can tell because they've got flour through them.
Right.
Okay? These ones you need to blanch.
I love these noodles. They're so easy to cook. So don't be shy, getting and venture out of Hokkien noodles if you can. It's always worth trying something new. Then you can say whether you like it or not.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, do you want me to chop the veggies up?
Yep, we've got some Chinese broccoli. Chop them
trim
up.
it?
Yeah. And the other thing we want to do is just heat up some oil here because we want to make some garlic oil.
Ah, lovely.
Okay.
Got some garlic cloves here.
Yeah, thank you. So we're just going to let this fry up a little bit just to bring out some flavor. And in the meantime, the wonton noodle sauce. The main ingredient in a wonton noodle sauce is really oyster sauce. But we're going to get a little bit fancy. We're going to use some abalone sauce. It's similar to oyster sauce, probably not as well known, but have a look in Asian grocery stores. You should be able to find them quite easily.
That's a bit indulgent.
I know, right?
What else do you need?
I'm just going to grab what's labeled as thick caramel sauce. Very confusing to people. It's what we call as thick soy sauce. Yeah, and it's so versatile. A little goes a long way with this because it's quite thick and treacly.
Yeah, and it's quite misleading because even though it says cooking caramel, it's not sweet at all.
No, that's right. People think caramel sauce or you pour it on your pancakes.
Yeah,
no, you
don't pour that on your pancakes.
Now I'm just going to grab some oyster sauce. So you want about a 50-50 combination of oyster sauce and abalone sauce and some soy sauce.
Brilliant. Oh, it smells good and it's so tasty.
Sauce. I'm just putting in some white pepper. And I'm gonna just add some water. Just let this simmer till everything's all mixed up and dissolved.
Now, how long does the noodle sort of take to cook?
About 2-3 minutes. So it's ready now. Let's take that out. Let's get a pair of tongs and I'll show you what it looks like. Just about perfect.
Who doesn't like noodles? There's oodles of noodles.
Yeah.
Oh, Jackie, you're
Oodles
feeding
and
an
noodles,
army. Or just me?
You and me.
Yes.
There you go.
Now, what are we doing? Are we wilting these vegetables? Or?
Yeah, we're going to toss them in the water. Yeah.
So it's kailan or Chinese
Kailan,
broccoli, yeah.
that's right.
And it's an alternative to bok choy. I
Yeah.
think it's fantastic. It works
Yeah.
really well, really nice and fresh. And I love the colour and the
Yeah.
stalks, the leaves. They're
Yeah.
fantastic. Right, so we've got these. Some lovely wontons.
Throw some dumplings on. Now, when you're cooking Chinese vegetables, I think the mistake a lot of people make is that they overcook it. Okay, because the Chinese leafy greens don't take long. But the other thing you want to take into consideration is the stems take a little bit longer to cook. So throw in the stems first, then you toss in the leafy bits.
You never have enough wontons, Jackie.
I love wontons. Now I've got the garlic oil here. Let's drizzle some. Can you smell it?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that fabulous?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you can let this cool and just stick it in the jar and keep it for whenever you want to add some flavor to your cooking. And this is a wonton noodle sauce. Again, this is something you can make in big batches and then just store. Usually, they would just toss this and then mix this up.
We need a stall. Like, you know, a
Right.
stall, and we'll be like whipping up with the wok, and I'll be serving, and yum.
Here you go. Now, if you like it a little bit darker, you can put more of the thick caramel sauce in it.
So once you make that, I guess you can sort of drizzle it with your rice and
Yeah.
you know, other sort of
With your blanched vegetables.
Right. Now, if you close your eyes and smell everything, you feel like you're transported back to the streets of Malaysia. For me, anyway, this can feed a family of 4. I think it's fantastic. You should try this. Dead easy. Thanks, Jackie.
No worries.
Believe it or not, Malaysians actually are well known for their desserts. Now, especially from the Nyonya sort of group of people. So Nyonyas, they're descendant Chinese that migrated to Malaysia 15th, 17th century. They're really famous for their desserts, and this is one of them. This is a variation. This is an Alvin touch to it. But what we're going to do is we're going to make some coconut crepes with some sugared coconut crumble in the middle. It's called kueh dada, and it's one of my favorite desserts to sort of have, and it always takes me back to my childhood when I do this. So we've got some plain flour, and we've got some coconut milk, almost essentially Malaysian. We use that a lot in our curries, a lot in our stir fries sometimes as well, and also to marinate proteins. So we've got about a cup's worth in there, and we're going to mix that in just to get a smooth batter. With crepes, they're fairly easy to sort of make, although we can sort of have it for breakfast as well. This is sort of more dessert-like. We're gonna put an egg in, so 1 egg in there. Now, this binds the mixture together, and what we want is you want to sort of whisk it through until you get a smooth sort of consistency. Just to make the batter a bit richer, we're going to add an egg yolk as well. So whisk that through. Bit of sugar, and about 50 grams of melted butter. Add that through. Now, I love this dessert. Just hits the sweet tooth. So this is the consistency you want. So it's sort of nice and gloopy, but still sort of holds its shape, so to speak. So that is perfect batter. And now we're ready to cook this crepe. So you want to ladle that in. So that's going to take about 2 minutes to cook, and we'll have a look in a second. Now that crepe is done, look at that, it's nice and brown. It looks fantastic. So we'll set that aside and we'll make another one, and then we're ready to assemble the rest. Another one done, perfect. We'll put that aside and let's make the yummy filling. So the filling is a sugared coconut crumble, and what we have, we've got some desiccated coconut that we're going to toast, and then we're going to add to it some palm sugar syrup and some raw caster sugar. So we'll just gently toast this until it gets brown, and then we'll mix the rest of the ingredients together. Now this is lightly browning, so that's great. That's just the color we want. And we're going to mix that in with the rest of the ingredients. I've got some raw sugar. That just gives it that extra sort of crunch and also sugary goodness. Diabetic nightmare, but this is good food. All right, now we've got some palm sugar syrup, so we'll just squeeze that in. 2 tablespoons worth. And just give that a mix. This is great. And you smell the lovely aromatic flavors of the coconut mixing really well with the palm sugar. Great. Let's plate this baby up. Right, so we've got the crepes. Just lie that here. And we'll put some coconut crumble on. Now, what dessert will be complete without ice cream? So let's get a nice scoop of vanilla ice cream. Possibly a bit more filling. And a bit more sugar. Breakfast of champions, Malaysian crepe with coconut crumble. This is really good.